In this video, I'm going to show you how to build Pinterest style grids in Webflow completely from scratch. No third-party integrations, no custom code. But before we get started, this video that you're about to see is pulled from a larger video that we did recently on Webflow grids in general. In that video, we showed you how to build Webflow grids from scratch, how to style them in the designer, and also how to build common layouts such as Pinterest grids, but also a lot more. So if you want to check that out, there'll be a link in the description below. I'm Michael, the founder of Fitter Media, and we offer unlimited Webflow development at a flat monthly rate so we can help companies complete their Webflow projects faster and on budget. If you want to book a strategy call with us, there will be a link to that in the description below. And on this channel, we help people become more efficient in Webflow. So if that interests you, be sure to subscribe. But without any further ado, let's get right into this video. So let's just go to Pinterest real quick. Okay, so I searched for motorcycles. I'm really into motorcycles. I have an R1 and an R6. But if we scroll down through this grid, you can see the grid isn't aligned. So for example, this second item is shorter than the first, which means the item under that collapses up to it. And this grid everything is like responsive. Like if the height isn't the same, the next option will stack up underneath it. This actually is more, this type of layout is better to build when using Flexbox. At least that's how I prefer it to do it. So let's do that really quickly. I'm going to include this in the grid video because technically we're using Flexbox. However, it still creates a grid layout, and it's really useful to know how to build these types of layouts because you may want to do this on your company's website, or if you are a freelancer or an agency, you're going to at some point have a client request one of these. So it's really good to know how to do. All right, so to build a Pinterest style grid, we are going to drop in our div. We're just going to name this Pinterest grid. We're going to turn this into Flexbox. The position is going to be horizontal. And then within here, we want to add as many divs as we have columns. So if it's going to be a 3-column grid, we're going to add in 3 divs, and we're just going to do grid column. We're going to make 3 of these, and then we are going to make the width of these 33%. That is about 1/3 of the width. And then under our Pinterest grid, we are going to add a gap. So we're going to do a 2rem gap, a 2rem gap. My God. All right. So now under the columns, we are going to add our grid items. So in the first column, we're going to add our div block. We're going to do grid item like before. And that will span the full width. And then what we want to do is in our second grid column, we're going to add grid item, or we're first going to add a div, and then grid item. And I already have a combo class for this for large, which it's a little bit taller. And then over here, we're going to paste in our other grid item. Okay, so now we have our base grid layout set. What we're going to do is we're then going to add in some more grid items. So I'm going to add in a large grid item on the first grid. I'm going to add in a small grid item on the second column. And then I'm going to add a small item on the third column. And then what we want to do is we want to have the same amount of gap for our base grid that is applied. So we have a 2rem gap. For our columns, we also want to do flex vertical, and then we want to set a 2rem gap so things look normal. And then you can see here, we now have successfully created a Pinterest style grid, but it's using Flexbox instead. And as you can see, it is still completely mobile responsive. We just have a bit more work to do when making this mobile responsive on like a tablet or a mobile device. So if we go to tablet, that looks pretty good. If we go to mobile, still looks pretty good. We can decrease the gap a little bit. So if you want to decrease the gap of this grid, you have to do it in 2 places. First, you have to do it on the grid element. So we're going to do it to 1. And then you have to do it on the columns. So we're going to do those 1 as well. And then if we go to mobile portrait, you can see now it is completely messed up. And that is normal. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn this into a 1-column grid. So we are going to select our grid column. And then it is set to 33%. We're going to set it to 100. And you can see that still hasn't fixed much. That is because our grid element is still set to flex direction horizontal. We're going to change this to vertical. And then once we did that, you can see now we have a beautiful single column grid. And this grid is completely mobile responsive. So that is how you build common grid layouts in Webflow. If you have any questions about how to build a grid in Webflow, put those in the comments below and we'll try our best to get back to you. Also, if you're a company who's looking to complete your Webflow projects faster and on budget, we offer unlimited Webflow development at a flat monthly rate. There'll be a link in the description where you can schedule a strategy call with us. Also, there are tons of resources on our website and in the description below, so be sure to check those out.